Canine Detection Collaborative. We bring the conversation straight to you. Training tips and helpful hints you'll actually use. Real insights from real experts with a side of laughs. Canine Detection Collaborative is where it's at. It all comes down to just one thing, helping our dogs be the best they can be. Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robin Greubel, and I am here with two super fabulous people. First is my co-host, Stacy Barnett.
Hello.
And we have Bob Deeds back.
Hello.
It's really fun and interesting because we get lots of feedback from people about, oh my gosh, that was so interesting. Plus, Bob and I did a really cool thing like 2 weeks ago, and we wanted to talk about that. So, and we have an announcement.
Yes, several announcements. But yeah, your super cool thing I couldn't make, and I would totally missed out. I would have loved to have been there. But this whole moving to the Midwest thing is kind of eating up a little bit of my time, but just a little bit. But oh my gosh, you guys did your first chicken workshop. And
Yay!
Yeah, oh my gosh. I can't wait to hear more about this because let me tell you, I got exposed a little bit to kind of the preparatory work. I couldn't believe like all the stuff that like Robin had like all these chickens out and trying to like, get these chickens. Like they went from like feral state to ready to be like workshop superstars. And then, oh my gosh, there were like 20 of them. And I had the opportunity to like get to train my dogs near them, which was like great distraction training. Oh yeah, it was incredible. But I want to hear all about it. I want to hear about how, it's kind of laid out, like the whole purpose stuff. And actually, let me ask you guys some questions and we'll kind of go from there. Talking about the chicken workshops, what specifically, a lot of times people are like, what do you mean you're training chickens? Can you guys tell me a little bit about kind of what that process looks like, what you're training them for, and how that applies to dog training?
Well, it's not so much training chickens. We could teach anybody to train chickens. What it's for is to train trainers. Chickens move really, really, really fast. And that's why, Bob Bailey and Marian Breland-Bailey picked those animals particularly to train trainers with. Your observational skills have to be dead on really fast. Your processing skills have to be faster, and they have to align with your dexterity and your movement. No chewing gum when you do this. Okay, you really got to focus and be ready to react, shape the birds, and carry them through to the task that you're training them for. It's really amazing. The dirty secret is, I think Robin and I actually even learned more than the students.
We did.
Just getting to watch them. And we gave them some leeway a little bit from the workshops that we went into as far as some of the things that they attempted to do and the things that they tried, and watch them mold themselves into better trainers. It was really cool. Very, very neat to watch. And some of the feedback we've gotten since then is absolutely amazing. People that came into it not really knowing exactly what to expect and left totally blown away and feeling like they've actually changed as trainers. And man, that's the goal. That's the whole point of this. We want to make trainers change for the better. That's what we're trying to do.
And it was really, really fun because we had all in one group, a horse trainer, working dog trainers, as in professional detection, people who also trained other people. So they're pet dog trainers that train other people, a sport dog and a sport dog handler, right?
Wow.
All in the same class. And it was interesting to talk to them from the beginning of the class to the end of the class and realize, and I actually said to one person, chickens are the great equalizer.
Yeah.
They really don't care what else is going on in your world. They are really respondent to what you're doing. And we use white Leghorns because Marian did some research. And if you go out and look on like IQ Zoo, you can actually see where she talks about the white Leghorns are the most active chicken.
So they're fast.
They're fast.
They're fast.
I have a coop full of right now. I actually took pictures and I'll post them because I have a picture of the ladies, which are the ones that we used in this workshop. And then I have the ladies in waiting.
Okay.
Which turn a year old in November. And so their crops or their combs are just starting to come in and they haven't started laying yet and all sorts of things. So it's been fun to listen to the students as they go home and really have them talk about, and one of the students is a KPA graduate, and she's been sending me information about how her philosophy, I don't even know if it's philosophy, it might be more practices, have changed since coming to the workshop. And then having one of the other attendees talk about the fact that she is immediately, during the workshop, we would talk about something and she's like, oh, I'm going to modify my puppy class that I'm teaching.
Wow.
And I don't know if the students understand as an instructor, to hear a student say that they are going to modify immediately how they're teaching something.
Wow.
Is one of the biggest compliments I can ever be given.
Wow.
That's the coolest part of this. What Robin was talking about is the chickens being the great equalizer. Our sport dog trainer she got in there and she was, before everything started, she was saying, I'm just a sport dog trainer. And there's been a ton of stuff on the internet lately. I think lately Bill Gaskins posted a great thing about how good the sport dog trainers are. And she was feeling a little self-conscious because she's in there with professional people. And to see her come to life when she realized, wow, I'm doing this and I'm getting better. And each day that came on, she was better and better and better and better. And I think that thrilled me more than anything.
Yes.
Is seeing her take off and improve. And by the time she left, her confidence level was off the chart. And that's what this thing is all about.
Right.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
And we ended up working through some other things because one of the things and Bob and I talked about this quite a bit as we were developing the class, that our curriculum is very, very robust. And I know the students were really tired. The students, because as part of the workshop, you get to stay on site. And so their commute to go to class is literally across the driveway. Everybody was exhausted by the end of the day. And literally, because when you're trying to master timing your clicks at the same time a chicken pecks, you've got to be on your game.
So I had also kind of understood from you before that you assign chickens ahead of time, meaning like you kind of categorize the chickens by like, there were some, I think you called them like border collie chickens.
Yeah, we did.
That was more for us than anything.
So like to give them like more just like the students a variety of chicken, I guess that's what I'm
we had some Malinois, we had some border collies, we had field labs and show labs. What happened though, this is really interesting. Some of the chickens, like there was one of Robin's ranch hand had named this chicken
Frodo.
Oh, it's Frodo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Frodo. Yeah,
Frodo.
And
I know Frodo
was
has
like
a
this
tiny comb.
mild-mannered, steady chicken. And the guy that was training Frodo was having some issues early on. He finally he was doing really well. But he had turned Frodo into kind of a serial killer. Uh,
Frodo went from being mild-mannered to almost being a civil Malinois.
No.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
What?
when you moved colors or shapes around on the table, you were counting your fingers afterwards, to make sure that you still had your digits left.
Oh,
Because
no.
Frodo was not putting up with you moving his stuff around or her stuff around.
And she would also peck the cup really hard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which makes all the rest of the food in the cup fly out. So she had learned that behavior that if she pecked really hard, she could get additional food. And so, I mean, you have to be, and it was really interesting because we actually had to, at some point, the students would come up to us and because we tell them what the challenges are, this is what you're supposed to do with your chicken. And they're like, oh, how do we train that? And Mom do the typical look at them instructor and give the whole, I don't know. How do you?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Right. And so they'd come up with these little ideas and then somebody would hear somebody else. And then they'd be like, ooh, we're going to do it this way. And Bob and I'd be like, let us know how that works for you.
That's code, by the way.
Yes, it is.
And it was very evident. I mean, it reveals itself quickly. There's no shortcuts. There's not any shortcuts. But we allowed them to do a little bit of experimentation because everybody learned. If something didn't go right, you learn by it. And the cool part about it, you don't have time to dwell on it. You just have to change what you're doing. I just picture Bob Bailey, looking at me and saying, if it's not working, do something else.
Right.
How simple is that?
Right.
I mean, really. And you have to do something else quickly because that chicken ain't going to wait.
Commonly hear us walking around coaching people and going, that click hurt.
Yeah.
Which is a Bob Bailey saying.
Oh, okay. Is that like an errant click or is it a...
Well, we have the requirement in class is if you click, you must feed the chicken.
Oh.
Right. And so it's very much a constraint that is dictated so that if you are bad at clicking, your chicken still gets fed.
Oh.
Right.
I will say that by the end of it, people were good at clicking. People got good at clicking. Yeah. You started out saying that a lot, but then toward the end, it very rarely happened. And you didn't have to say it.
Right.
Because people knew it. I was really proud of this first group we had. They did a great job.
So now, are chickens forgiving? Like, you know how sometimes like you have a dog and like a dog can be forgiving and they just started like you can be kind of messing up your training a little bit. It's kind of some of those like painful clicks, right? Those errant clicks, and a dog will kind of compensate for you sometimes. Like, do chickens do that?
Not really.
No.
We literally had a 30-second timer in the beginning. That's all they had.
Wow.
So you train for 30 seconds. So if you're making mistakes, you've got to correct those literally on the fly because your timer's off and that whole session is over.
Wow.
And you think that 30 seconds, wow, that's so short. Not in a chicken's life. You get a lot of pecks in 30 seconds if you're doing it right. Yeah.
And our students did a really, really good job of tracking data.
Yes.
Oh.
And they had sheets and note cards, and they would have a discussion almost at the beginning of every day on what they were going to train in their chicken. And then they would talk about what criteria are they tracking? Are they tracking pecks? And then out of pecks, how many were in the white circle? How many were on the edge of the circle? Or did their shape jump? Or all sorts of things. And they assigned their coach, you count this, I'm going to count this.
Wow.
And then they would write down the data because unless you take the data, you don't know if you're changing behavior.
Right.
And so they had to figure out what was the best thing to track because we didn't give that to them either.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was funny. We figured out some stuff that had to do with generalization about our shapes and things of that, because we've got one set of shapes that's actually got the lines that if you put it that way, you can see it. And it turns out, yeah, the chickens can generalize. It's got to have a line on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I won't peck it. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So we learned some stuff like that too, as where we went through the week as to why some students might have been having problems.
There was something else that we did that turned out to be really cool is normally in the chicken workshops that we went through, you had your same person that you worked with the entire time. We rotated so that every session they worked until they got close to the end where they were trying to graduate their bird, they were with a different coach and a different chicken trainer. It rotated from table to table. And downside would be a little bit of continuity, but what they learned as far as how to communicate with that person across the table from them was absolutely amazing.
Right.
To watch these guys evolve. And by the time they got back to their original person to work on their graduation stuff, it was so cool because you saw like this confidence level. Each person knew what to say to help the other person because they had been through it with a myriad of people. And their observation skills were just truth. This is what I'm saying. This is what you need to do. And on the fly, it wasn't anything, these long explanations. It was just, you were late, click sooner. It was all very concise information. Present the cup here, do this, do that. And they were working together. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
I could imagine that just the ability to see that many more chickens being trained, because it seems like the chickens have some individuality, that they're not just like.
It's no different than a dog. Yeah. You're training the chicken in front of you. And they're training the same chickens all the time. They're just rotating to a different table.
But you're getting to see different chickens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, and then you also are seeing, it's interesting to go through, we were talking about the different breed, the Malinois chicken and the Border Collie chicken. And one of the things why we were classifying them that way is because we wanted to give students two different types of chickens. If I give somebody two fast chickens, they don't learn a different training style, right? For the slow chicken. And it turns out it was really interesting. We had one chicken. It was so interesting. I think like on Wednesday, one of the students comes up to me and says, my chicken is self-soothing. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Your chicken is self-soothing. And so Chicken Anatomy 101, chickens have something called a wattle. And it is the little flappy thing that hangs down on the sides of their beaks.
Okay.
And we had one of the chickens, for I don't know what reason, would drop her head, shake her head until one of her wattles was in her mouth.
Huh.
And I looked at that and I said, I don't know what that is, but I feel like it's a stress reaction.
Okay.
Right. And so that chicken, I immediately got pulled and actually went all the way back to the coop.
Oh, she's the one that went with the retirement chickens.
Yes, she went into the retirement chickens. She will not be used for chicken workshops anymore. I was like, nope, you're done. And so we looked at her and said, okay, we have the bench.
Right.
But you're the chickens on the bench that were just watching everybody else work.
Okay.
And so she got to start from ground zero, because keep in mind, all of these chickens were what we call naive birds.
Right.
So they had only been momentarily exposed to a single target for a single day before the students started training them.
Yeah. And that's actually, like, if I think about, I had a very brief experience, air quote, training chickens way back before I met you and everything, Robin. And what was interesting is in my experience, when I did it, I actually was working a pre-trained bird. Like the bird already understood the behaviors. And I think it was just practicing like clicker timing and stuff like that. But I know just based off of watching the preparations, it was just literally, I mean, you were just like saying, chicken, can you be comfortable on the table? And chicken, can you be comfortable being handled? And chicken, you're getting a bath and, and all that kind of stuff without like, or understanding that the human's there and the human is a source of reinforcement. But like, these were not pre-trained chickens.
No. And the nice thing about living on a farm and having access to the chickens that I do, any future classes will always have a naive bird, at least one. So that means like the next time we do a workshop, I could use the same chickens and we may just do that. And we will tell the students who gets to do colors and who gets to do shapes because those chickens will have never been trained. So now we have the color chickens doing shapes. They've never been trained on shapes.
Right.
So they have no idea.
Wow. So you really do still get a naive bird, even if you use them for another session.
You do. Yeah.
And then the class after that will rotate through some other chickens. So you'll have a naive bird.
Now, I will say this. It was kind of neat as we got even midway through the week. You'd open the cage door and the bird would practically crawl out into your arms.
Yeah.
They're like, cool, free food. Let's do this. Yeah.
And there were a couple of times as we were changing water, you'd leave the door slightly cracked and the chickens would learn to push open the door and then walk along the table and eat the food off the front of the table. And you'd go pick them up and they'd be like, okay, fine. It's just really entertaining and they're just quirky little critters.
I'm just more out of curiosity, just thinking about like all the chicken chores and everything that happens like on the farm, like on a daily basis. Have you seen any difference like in the chickens and their behavior to you when you go to take care of them, like just regular chores or anything?
They are much less spooky.
Yeah.
The ladies in waiting, they are all clustered by the door because they want their scratch.
Okay.
I feed everybody, you go out there every day and you check them and make sure everybody's alive. And they get scratch every day, which, it's chicken cookies. So they all cluster by the door, but as soon as you walk up to the door, they run to the other end of the coop.
Ah, okay.
The chickens who have been through the chicken workshop, I'm having to nudge them away from the door. Otherwise, if I open the door is going to send them flying.
That's great.
Yeah. So they're much more like, hey, they're enjoying their little mini vacation in their coop right now and running all over. And so they're just kind of fun. They're still laying eggs.
Yeah.
Laying eggs.
Did they lay a lot of eggs during?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody was laying practically every day.
So basically breakfast for everybody.
Yes. And the dogs.
And the dogs.
And the dogs. Yeah.
That's a lot of eggs.
Yes. And just wait till the ladies in waiting start training or start laying. And because they'll lay 2 a day.
Wow.
But we're pretty excited because while Bob was up here, we had a couple of suggestions from students about things to offer. So those are coming up. Right.
Ooh.
But we are going to offer another discrimination workshop coming up in October.
Oh, super. What dates are those so that people can plan for it?
So it's October 26th through the 30th.
Okay.
The registration is live out on the Canine Census website. And it's the same format. We can take anywhere up to probably 12 students, if not more. And it's all inclusive, so people can stay on the farm. And we're pretty excited because next year we're going to do some more expansive stuff, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. It just takes us a little bit to get everything put together.
Something else too, Robin talking about, you're staying on the farm. One of the things that was really neat was just about every night, I think. Robin and I went over and had dinner with everybody.
Yeah.
So you kind of own us while you're there.
Right.
So we were able to sit down and we could talk about things and talk about dogs at night and horses and the other critters, in our lives. So that was really, really cool. It's nice to just to get up in the morning and be able to walk across the yard and be there ready to teach. That was pretty neat for us too. So
the Keurig got a workout. So yeah, it was. And the students, somebody brought a spouse, and so they were designated chief chef.
Oh.
And so everybody kind of pulled their resources or stuff that they bought, right?
Uh-huh.
And we had communal dinner every night.
Wow.
Yeah. So it created a really, really nice, fun community.
That's just fabulous. And I can speak from experience that there is something very special about the farm. And just like mornings on the farm, you wake up and the sun's coming up and it's so peaceful. You might be hearing cows in the background, at night you might be hearing the coyotes, and it is a very, very special place. If you've never been there, it's kind of magical.
Yeah. And Robin even gave me a loner dog, so I didn't have to sleep by myself.
You got a loner? Who'd you get? Who'd you get?
He
for a
got
loner?
Flash.
Oh, so basically she tried to suffocate you all night.
Oh, she's great. She's a great cuddler.
Yes.
She's a professional cuddler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Pro level.
Pro level, and she gets it from her mom and dad. So as we start looking forward to, and I'm hoping in October, I know the chickens molt so the chickens shed, for those people who don't know, every year, every fall, basically they blow coat.
The amount of chicken fluff on the back of your windows, because I help to just kind of do the
cleanup,
with the tarps and cleanup and stuff. I'm like, what is this? It looks like the lint. It looks like the lint that comes out of your dryer.
Right. But every fall, they blow coat and they replace all of their feathers so that going into winter, they have nice, brand new, fluffy, warm feathers. And so we might have some naked chickens in October. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So we're going to do naked chicken training is what
we
you're
might.
saying.
Yeah. They might look kind of scrawny.
Yeah. Chickens are naked, not the trainers.
Yes.
Yes. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I just want to make sure we were clear on that. Because when you say naked chicken training, like,
you know what happens on the farm stays on the farm.
That's exactly right. So I know, Bob, you ended up running into a couple of people who did dog scouts as well.
Yeah. That was kind of neat.
That's cool.
Yeah. I've been teaching at a mini camp in Texas for the last 20 years or more. It was kind of neat. In fact, one of them, she was actually the gal that was a sport dog trainer that had been to the Texas mini camp that my wife and I taught at the last one. And then gal who lives up there met her, and she had actually been a scoutmaster with Dog Scouts. So that's pretty cool too.
That's pretty cool. Cool.
We're excited to see who ends up coming this time around. So make sure you go out and sign up. And the other thing about coming to the farm that's been really interesting is due to the ever-moving world that we live in, we are now actually having Bob come out to help and teach intentional handling and hide setting for the first class that's in July.
Yep.
Which is super exciting. We have one spot left open in that class. I think there's 2 spots in distraction camp and maybe one more spot open in the second intentional handling and hide setting.
I think so.
I don't know, but it's out on the podcast website. You can check those out. So we will do that. And Bob, are you bringing a dog when you come up?
I will probably be bringing Sweet C.
Okay.
My huge puppy. She's
awesome.
It's literally a pony show. She's big. She's a big
I
girl.
know
So,
exactly what that's like.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, our puppies, Jack and Belle, and actually Quest, who lives in Ohio, they all turn 1 year old on April 13th. And Jack is a legit pony.
He is.
He's legit. Yeah. I'm going to start like putting a saddle on that little boy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Bob, here's a question. As an instructor, after teaching a week of the chicken workshops, has that influenced your training any when you went home?
Oh, sure. I constantly, I have one eye on what's happening at that moment. And it's like the other one's looking into the future as far as is what I'm doing to making sure that I'm moving in the right direction. I also kind of gotten out of the habit of writing down my training plans and stuff like that. And I've gone back to doing that. And it's making just a huge difference in what I'm accomplishing. It's the proverbial practice what you preach kind of thing. And it makes a big difference. My eye is sharper. My thought processes are coming quicker. I'm getting a game plan in my mind that has more clarity about where I'm going. So much of the time, we have a tendency to go into a training session and we have a general idea of what we want, but we don't really break everything down into all the components. It's a very easy habit to get out of, especially if we're not training just a huge number of dogs. We're training one dog and then maybe we start training another dog, and training the dog in front of you and having that separate game plan for each dog because they're all different is just a huge part of this.
I know one of the things that I realized, because the students would be done for the day and we'd take the bench chickens and play with the bench chickens a little bit. And I realized my mechanics were rusty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. And so if you think about that as a dog trainer, and I'm looking at what I'm trying to train a chicken to do, my timing was really rusty. How I placed the cup was rusty. The mechanics of doing all of that. I mean, the amount of food that ended up on the table the first couple of times, because I was trying to teach the chicken to go around a cone. And so actually, if you could go out on, I'll probably post it on my Facebook when this comes out. A student took a picture of me that literally is the epitome of that click hurt.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, because I have a grimace on my face and the whole thing because I'm feeding her. And I'm like, oh, that was not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things of, even after, because I went through the workshop on training the chickens to do cones maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And that really reminded me of the fact that, you know what, training is a perishable skill.
Yes. Yes.
And it reminded me too that this is why when you get a puppy once every 8 or 9 years, you forget all the puppy
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that. I thought it was just because I was old. So that's great. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I was like, what is this little critter that I've got? What do I do now?
And
So,
I didn't remember that there are sharks.
Oh, they're
yes,
painful.
yes.
Oh my gosh, this thing is a little weird today. And how do you deal with it? And yeah, all of the things. But yeah, the one chicken I was working with was probably like, oh, glorious. This woman just fed me a half a cup of food all over the table.
That's awesome.
It's very easy to teach your chicken in that situation to do circles.
Oh.
Because you click and then you have to present. And if you're not really careful, the chicken twirls to look for the cup.
Oh, okay.
And then they knock the cone over. And yeah, I was living that in a hard way.
Wow. That's intense. I talked to Robin afterwards, and I think we were just texting, and she's like, I'll give you a call later. We're training disaster chickens. What are you guys doing? I think this is just like instructors playing afterwards.
Yeah,
like,
a rubble pile set up on the table. So anyway, it was fun.
We were trying to teach a chicken just kind of for fun.
Yeah.
It would seek out its appropriate shape or color and navigate all of the obstacles.
So I want to know, could you teach it a bark alert?
No, peck alert.
Peck alert, yeah. Definitely going to be a peck alert, yeah.
I don't think we could teach a egg song alert. That would be hard.
Yeah.
That's a modal action pattern.
It was just so funny. I'm like texting with Robin. She's like, we're training disaster chickens. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, and Bob and I have been playing with exercises and things for some of the subsequent classes.
Yeah.
As to what we wanted to do. And that would probably come in more on the chaining side.
That's what we're thinking, the application toward directional control, for example.
Yeah. Right.
It got the wheels turning a lot.
Yeah.
So that's something we want to play with. So
you could like do a little chicken FSA or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been kind of fun. I'm looking forward to the next round, and we're looking forward. Bob and I have been plotting things for Karen. And so I think Karen has no idea what dilemma we're cooking up, or she might be.
Well, we're actually not only looking at the chicken stuff, but we're also looking at the mini donkeys.
Yes.
And some things that we're plotting for my wife.
That's pretty cool.
To do a workshop. So
yeah. So
that's awesome.
Turn into more multi-species type of thing.
Wow.
So it will, and the fun, interesting thing was with the breadth of trainers we had, we were absolutely able to talk about behaviors in several different species.
Wow.
And observing things and really talking about the whole concept of constructs and how we push all of our feelings. And you could hear the students call each other out because, well, I think my chicken is thinking. And we're like, your chicken is what? My chicken is doing. Okay.
My chicken feels like, and really, how do you know that?
Yeah.
And so, again, it's that whole involvement thing. They would call each other out. So that change was being made. So that was
cool.
So
that's pretty cool.
I know. So Bob, what do you have coming up in the next couple weeks?
What do I have coming up?
Yeah.
Training. I'm working with this mold detection dog that I'm training for a client, and then some new detection ones for my new little lab Sweet Sea. I'll be working on both of those. I just built me a new scent wall that I finished this morning.
I saw that. That was lovely.
It's kind of cool. Did it with, do you know how long it takes to cut about 410 feet of PVC pipe into 3.5-inch segments? Like this arm is like spaghetti now,
Wow.
It's worn out. Thank goodness I had a good saw, to be able to cut everything. But anyway, I got all that together, so I'm pretty pumped about getting to use that. So
yeah,
that's the big thing I'm doing.
That's the big thing. I know this coming month, I'm doing a lot of traveling. So next week, so it'll be later the week that after this comes out, I'm going to be in Washington State teaching at a search and rescue group. And then at the end of the month, I'm doing traveling for training and certification. And then May might settle down just a little bit. Stacy, you've got stuff going on too.
I do. The Fenzi classes started up April 1st, and those are open for registration through April 15th. Really cool thing is that silver students now get a 1.5-minute video every week for review by me, and all the bronze and the silver students, that student study forum with my teaching assistant has now been incorporated into the class forums. So everybody is in one location. So I'm hoping for lots and lots of engagement with the whole class, both gold, silver, bronze students. So super excited about that. So I have NW 120, which is getting dogs that are just on odor, getting them more generalized into searching all the different elements and working on foundations. I have NW 230, which is all about teaching the more advanced skills that's necessary for NW2, NW3, or for like AKC Excellent and Masters. And then I have NW 475, which is a setups class. And that is really about kind of teaching problem solving and that sort of thing. And that's scalable for either a very advanced team or for a team with less experience. You can kind of scale that up and down. Registration for that is only open through April 15th. So you may want to get on that if you're not registered right now.
I think I might just sign up for a bronze for that one.
That would
I want
be
to watch you do your stuff. So that's cool. One of the things I did forget about, because I'm not used to thinking about it yet, is I have signed an agreement with Scentwork University to do puzzles class.
Nice.
I've got to get my videos embedded. That's the last thing I need to do. And then I'll submit that. Don't have a date yet, but that should be coming up pretty soon. So
Cool.
Very cool. And Bob is going to join us, and Muscata.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You're going to,
Right.
I heard you're going to teach there.
The Muscata Tips is happening in May.
Yeah.
Lisa Kakavas. So Christy Rock and Robin Houston both thought that they had to do adult things this year and can't make it. So Lisa Kakavas is taking over one of the lead stations, and so is Bob. So everything's booked. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have some training aids that are very large and have never been used that are going to be great for our cadaver dog teams out there. So that link is also in the show notes for people who want to register for that. So let's do takeaways since we just did a commercial.
Okay.
So I have to say that this has actually been so much fun just to listen to you guys. And my big takeaway is I'm really bummed that I missed it. And I'm going to have to definitely come and join you guys for one of the future ones. It's just so fascinating to kind of think about like all the applications and how you can use the training experience on not a very forgiving type of creature, and how you can then learn and improve your mechanics and everything on your target species. So for me, it's just really fun to listen to kind of, the takeaways and the ahas and everything like that. And just doing things that I mean, training chickens, like it's just like, you don't think about what it really entails. So it's super cool to listen to.
I guess my biggest takeaway has been, Robin and I talked a little bit in the days following, but we really haven't touched base that much since then, except for a message here and there. And it's kind of neat getting to listen to her experience because we both saw the same thing. That's the coolest part about this. Seeing this, knowing we're starting to get some of the feedback now, and knowing that, I'm just really excited about this whole program going forward, because we're at the very, 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 very tip-top beginning of this. I can't wait to see 5 years from now what this thing's turned into. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
I think my biggest takeaway is probably not even, not that I don't like you guys, but this conversation has been great. But to have the students 2 to 3 weeks later reaching out and saying, hey, this came up today and I learned about it in your class, and it was fantastic on how I could take it and immediately apply it. And that the immediate applicability of what you're learning in a chicken workshop, what you might think, and nobody in podcast land can see the whole quote, air quote thingies, think is pretty basic, but it is transformational for your training.
And I have a feeling that some of these guys, they're saying they're just now seeing something. I have a feeling they've seen it all along, but it had no meaning.
Right.
And I told them, I said, Our goal was to ruin them, make it where they can never go back again.
Right.
Wow.
And I think that's what's happened. So that's cool.
Yeah. And having a student say, you know what, for the first time, I had the words to be able to sit down with the client and explain to them why their dog was doing the thing that they're doing.
Wow.
Right. That was one of those. I have that screenshotted and it's in my little folder of when I get disillusioned and I want to stab everybody. That's the folder it's in. So I go read that and then it refreshes me and makes me happy.
Wow.
All right, everybody. Thank you for beaming in and go train.
Canine detection collide.